Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Like, Share, Follow. And this week, I have the amazing Jenna Donahoe, who is the Queensland social media manager. I can't speak this morning. Social media manager for 7 News. And welcome, Gemma. How are you?
Thank you. I'm good. I'm happy to be here.
Excellent. And so it's been a little while since you were at USC. When did you finish your degree?
So I graduated in 2017 now. I started an internship at 7 News on the Sunshine Coast in the same year. And I was lucky enough to land a job on the social desk just before I left. So I, only about a month later, I think, after I graduated from USC, I moved to Brisbane on the social media desk. And I was lucky enough to be there until now, which is 3 years later, and now I'm the manager. So
yeah, so because you've actually moved up the ranks a bit, haven't you, since you first started?
Yeah, so I was very lucky. I moved to Brisbane on a casual job actually, and then 3 months later I was made full time, and then 2 years, I think a year or 2 years later, my manager left, and I stepped up into her role. So I've been in this role now for 2 years.
Yeah, and you've actually taken on USC interns as well, which has been really
Yeah,
good.
we've had Ashley.
Yeah. Now tell me, you'd be the best person to answer this. So because people have been asking me all about it, but I'm not actually, on the forefront and dealing with it all. I'm more a commentator. So how did the last week and week before affect you with news ban? Because that's your job, is putting news on Facebook and other platforms. What actually happened for you? What did you do?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Oh gosh. So everyone says to me, they say, did you see it coming? And obviously we knew what was going on with the government and Facebook, but we had no idea. Like that morning I woke up, I think I went to yoga, and I came back and everything was on fire.
No, I really yoga.
Yeah, I know. I was quite stressed. No, we played it really cool. We actually kept posting to Facebook for as long as we could. So we could actually see our pages, although other people couldn't, and we kept posting. Mm-hmm. I think in the last 2 days of the ban, we couldn't post at all. But when the ban was lifted, all of our posts that we had been posting before that were still there. So I think a lot of other pages had actually completely stopped, thinking that the posts would never come back. So that was a little boost for our pages, actually. It felt at the time a bit optimistic, but I was very relieved when it was only 7 days, I think, altogether, the ban. So
yeah. And so you didn't really stop, you just kept going. And did you ramp up your presence on, do you look after other platforms as well?
Yeah. So we have 9 newsrooms across Queensland. 7 regional, and then the Gold Coast and Brisbane. So we have a Facebook page and a Twitter account for each of those, and then 1 Queensland Instagram and 1 YouTube account. But in the time during Facebook's ban, we actually launched 3 new Instagram accounts. Yeah, we were actually working harder during the ban because we were still posting to Facebook like normal, and then we had launched another 3 Instagrams. So it was quite crazy, and at the time it was kind of like, oh, what are we doing this for?
Yeah.
We're back.
Yeah, but I mean, it all makes sense in the end. So that's good. That's good. Were you checking, because I've done some research with social media managers, and one of the things they do is like check constantly. So particularly like when they're running ad campaigns and things like that, they can't switch off. And were you like that during that period? You were just like,
like any chance I could get, I was just on my phone refreshing.
I would be the same. I would be the same.
Yeah. It was a massive relief when it did come back.
And so moving back to chat about your career and everything. So what do you think set you apart from other grads in landing this role in social media at 7 News?
I think it really does come down to a lot of people, the old saying, like, you just need to start before you feel ready. I think sitting. So I did an internship on the coast as a journalist, and sometimes when there's, it's a quiet day or there's no stories to go out on, you can just be sitting there twiddling your thumbs. And I think it also comes down to, if you're at work experience, just ask, what can I do? Is there anything that needs to be done around here, around the newsroom, that I can do to help out? And that not only helps them, but it also helps you get the experience. So we would have some really quiet days. We wouldn't have quiet days, but normally you'd go out on a job and then you'd get back, and when the reporter would write their story, you'd have a little play, but then you would want to do more. And so I just started sitting on the social media desk and helping the girl in social media at the time. And I thought it was really interesting. I had studied our social media class at USC, and it was always changing. So instead of reporting where you're working on the 1 or 2 stories all day, you felt like you were working on all of them, and it was really exciting for me. So I absolutely loved it. And then just before I graduated, the girl at the time, Hannah Scott, said to me, "Oh, well, I'm leaving, you should apply for my role." So I did, and then it all took off.
Excellent. So yeah, I mean, that's good advice. It's just being, I guess, using your initiative and asking for more, not just waiting for the task to be given to you.
Yeah, really important. And it not only helps them, but it makes your time worth it as well, and you get the most out of it.
Yeah. And so what's some of the best career advice that you've been given?
I think, look, this isn't from just one person, but something I've picked up on along the way, and I'm seeing a bit of a pattern in it. But it's not just about, the big achievements and the big goals that you've kicked, but it's also sometimes just the really boring, mundane tasks, the repetitive stuff. I find that people really become successful when they're consistent with the little things as well as the big things.
Yeah, that's good advice. And in your time at university, what do you think, what was one of the things or some of the things that have really helped you in your role now?
I think group work. Definitely group work. I think, you don't always get to choose who you're working with, and it's really just about working out other people's skills and what they can bring to the table and utilising those. So I think group work was great at university because we did a lot of that in PR and journalism. Definitely set me up pretty well.
Yeah. And so what was your degree? Was it communication?
Sorry, it was journalism with a major in PR.
PR, yeah. So they would work really well together.
Yeah.
And what's something that a skill that or a piece of knowledge that you've actually really needed when you entered the workforce where you are now and you didn't know and you wish you'd learned at university?
Look, that's a hard one, but I think I would definitely say there's always a lot of platforms and apps and programs that university will never be able to cram in or teach you all of them. So I actually think, although you do get taught some, I think it's really important to try and stay on top of those in your spare time while at university, because there are always new ones, they're always changing. So if you can use your time wisely and just try and stay on top of those at the same time, especially if you are in social media or, reporting or PR, I think that's pretty important.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you say, it changes. So, I guess what we try and teach too is just being adaptable and flexible. To keep on top of the changes and not being scared to try new platforms and unfamiliar things as well.
Yeah, for sure, definitely.
And do you have some sort of hack or bit of something to do with social media or some sort of interesting piece of information that you've learned in the last 2 weeks that you could share with us?
I think you already kind of touched on it about the Facebook ban. I think it was a real eye-opener for everyone, really, how quickly these platforms can act on certain things. Sometimes it can take a while to work with them, but they lifted the ban very quickly, and it was good insight to realize this. But I think that's the biggest thing for me, how quickly these platforms can act on things.
Yeah, totally. And, just not putting everything there. So not relying on them for everything. So
Yeah,
spreading yourself a bit more widely.
definitely. Yes,
And
for sure.
what advice would you, apart from the amazing advice you've already given to students in grads and stuff in this interview so far, what else would you say to help emerging professionals and students to succeed when in their chosen careers and professional fields?
I think what was really important for me is actually finding people you look up to, or people who have the dream job that you want, and finding them on social media, signing up to their newsletters if they have them. Sometimes having a mentor can just be really, really helpful, as well. But yeah, if you find a couple of people you really look up to and you follow them on social media, listen to their podcasts, read their newsletters, it can really help guide you in the right direction that you want to go.
And that leads on to probably the most important question of all for this whole show is who do you like, share, and follow? So taking your own advice, who do you look up to on social media or has the role that that you want to have?
I have a couple of people. I think the first one is my good friend and colleague, Katrina Blowers. She's the 7 News presenter on the weekends. She's absolutely fantastic. The content she puts out is amazing. And she also has a podcast on confidence. It's called Claiming Your Confidence. It's on Spotify. I think it's on all the apps you can get your podcasts. And she also has an Instagram account for this, as well as Facebook groups. And she's just brilliant. These episodes are great. She interviews, massive stars. I think every interview is worth listening to. And she puts up little snippets on her social media, which is really easy to follow if you can't catch up during the day. So highly recommend following her. And another one is Matt Navarra. He is a social media whiz. He's a digital communications expert, and he's on everything, but on everything. I love to follow him on Twitter and Facebook. He also has a Facebook group called the Social Media Geek Out that is so helpful if you are if you're working in social media. Yeah, if you want to follow it. And he also has a podcast. I don't think he has updated it recently, but there's still tips and tricks in there that are really helpful.
Well, that's great. Thank you. And maybe, I know you're super busy, but if you have any time, it'd be great if you could tag them in a comment or something on.
I will do that.
On Facebook so people can follow up. So it would be great. And so in closing, do you have any final words that you'd like to share with everyone watching?
I think I said it all. I think it just basically going back to the work experience. If you are just about to leave university or anything, try and stick your hand up for as much work experience as you can do before you do take that first full-time role. You never know until you don't try. And I think also sometimes people fall in the trap of landing their first full-time job, wanting to do more work experience but never finding the time. So if you can try and squeeze it all in while you're at uni, I think that's amazing. And then you can really test out everything before you jump right in.
Absolutely. And for those people watching from USC, I have agencies knocking on my door wanting people for work experience and internships. So please get in contact and I can connect you.
Definitely.
So, yeah. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Gemma. And so next week we actually have someone else from 7 next week. So we have Liam Bland, who's studied. Do you know Liam? So he, I think he's working up sort of Fraser Coast way now, Bundaberg way, and he's a sports journalist with 7. So, yeah.
Okay. Did he just start?
Yeah, not long ago.
Yeah. So he's in the regions. Yeah, that's fantastic. Cool.
Yeah. So so we'll keep it within the 7 USC family. So
absolutely.
Thank you very much. And and I'll see everyone next week. Thank you, and thanks for watching, everyone. See ya.
Thanks. Bye.